Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
Hello all, this is Dr. Priya Kumari, Assistant Professor, Satyabama College of Physiotherapy. Today I am going to talk about the neurological assessment objective part. It is a continuation of the part 1. Please stay tuned for the further upcoming videos where I will be covering the detailed explanation of the neurological assessment in physiotherapy. Now, as I told, I will be covering the objective assessment. The components included will be what are the things we check on palpation, on observation and on examination. Now, first is on observation. Now, when a patient comes, as a therapist, what are the things we have to look for or observe to find out any deviations from the normal, like body wilt, whether the patient is ectomorphic, mesomorphic or endomorphic, then attitude of the limb, how the patient is keeping the limb. For example, a stroke patient will have a typical attitude of the limb. So, we can find out with the observation itself the state of the patient. Posture in sitting, lying and standing. Any external appliance, because whether the patient has come with a cane or the crutches or has the patient come on the wheelchair, all those things will be coming in the external appliance. Then any deformity if the patient has. Pressure source, if the patient is a long bedridden patient has come after the long lying on the bed for longer duration and the patient may have wounds or bed sores, that we can observe. Then pattern of the movement, whether the patient is having the flexor synergy or extensor synergy, those things we can look for. Mode of ventilation, whether the patient is able to do the breathing independently or he is assisted on some ventilation. Then edema, is there any muscle wasting, all those things we can observe. Also associated reactions, that are the trick movements, if the patient is using any trick movement while doing a particular activity or reaching for some objects, those things we can observe. Then involuntary movements like tremor, clonus or chorea, any trophical changes, skin changes like dryness of the skin or redness of the skin is there, and also the gait. For example, if stroke patient if comes, they will have a typical hemiplegic gait. So, observing on all these patterns will give us a much detailed view or perspective about the patient. Next is on palpation. What are the things we should check? That is we need to take the temperature, tenderness, scar, any kind of swelling if present. We have to palpate and feel for these things. Then on examination, we have to check for the vital signs, which is very important. Based on that, we can further plan the treatment. What are the main cardinal signs or vital signs? These vital signs give us the quantitative measure of the respiratory status as well as the cardiovascular status of the patient. So, we will be checking about the respiratory rate, whether it is an irregular pattern or patient is breathing normally. Temperature, whether patient has a normal temperature, increased temperature or very cold feet and hands. Pulse rate, what is the rate of the pulse, rhythm of the pulse and volume. Blood pressure, whether it is a hypertensive patient or the blood pressure is low. So, we will check for the systolic and the diastolic blood pressure. Now, we will go in detail of the neurological assessment. The components covered so far are basically covered in almost all types of assessment. Now, we are going to streamline more towards the neurological aspect, and these are the things which we be covering especially for the neurological assessment. First is the mental state of the patient, cranial nerve examination, sensory assessment, motor system assessment, then reflexes, coordination and gait. Now, under mental state, the first thing which we are going to check is the Glasgow, is the level of consciousness, and the level of consciousness we check using a scale most commonly followed, which is a Glasgow Coma scale. Now, what it measures? It will measure the awakeness, the patient's awareness about the surrounding, and also patient's response to the instructions. For example, if you ask the patient what is your name, or his alertness or awareness to answer or respond to a particular question shows his level of consciousness. And we will be checking that on the basis of eye response, motor response, verbal response and pupil response. So, this is the GCS explained in detail. We will be checking for the best eye response, which has got a score of 4. So, first is like no eye opening, second is eye opening to pain, third is eye opening to sound and fourth is eye opens spontaneously. So, if the patient is having no response, the patient is not able to open the eyes, we will give them 1. If the patient is able to open the eye properly, it is 4. So 1 is the worst, 4 is the a good response or normal response. Now best verbal response has got total score of 5, but should be 1 is no verbal response, 2 is incomprehensible sounds, 3 is inappropriate words, 4th is confused, 5th is oriented. Now best motor response. First one is no motor response, second is abnormal extension to pain, third abnormal flexion to pain, fourth is withdrawal from pain, fifth is localized pain, and sixth is obeys the commands. Now the level of response in Glasgow Coma Scale, as I told, it scores from 1 to for no response to normal value of 4 for eye opening, 5 for verbal response, and 6 for motor response. The values from 3 can range from 3 to 15, where 3 being the worst score and 15 is the best score. So the score is the sum of the all the components. Will be adding up the sums and then we'll find out a common score. If it is towards the higher range, that means the patient is recovering or patient is doing good. The GCS score can be interpreted in the form of like GCS, for example 10, it can be written as eye component is 3, verbal is 4 and motor is 3. This is the way of documenting it. Now comes the cognition. So cognition again is a very important component for in the neurological assessment. It's a very vast term and it has got so many components. There are so many domains are there. For example, it includes memory, it includes perception, it includes attention, it includes calculation, visuospatial orientation. Also there are some other like manual dexterity, so many components are involved in cognition. For we have different tools to measure the cognition. The most commonly used tools which we'll be using in the clinical side is your mini mental state examination and Montreal Cognitive Assessment Scale. Now mini mental state examination, if the score will be from 0 to 3. Scores which are greater than 25 are considered to be a normal cognitive person. If severe cognitive impairment, if the patient is having performed very less or the score is less, between 0 to 17, the patient has severe cognitive issues. If it is between 18 to 23, it is mild cognitive issues. If it is 24 to 30, it is no cognitive impairment. But when we are delivering this mini mental state examination or we are doing it, we should take care of the native local language of the patient, educational level of the patient, and also the cultural background, as these factors will affect the performance on the scale. Similar to that, we have the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. Here also the scoring is done and based on the score we will find out whether the patient has got memory issues or attention span issues or the calculation difficulty. Those things we can interpret. These are the samples of the mini mental state examination and Montreal Cognitive Assessment. You can find out for the reference. Now perception. Now again perception also forms a very important component, as it helps us to, especially for the neuro cases, it helps us to design our treatment protocol. Patients, those who have the perceptual problem, the tendency to understand or perceive their surrounding, it's like a challenge for the therapist to treat those patients. For example, if a patient is having a unilateral neglect, so suppose if a patient has right side neglect, that means the patient will not be observing anything which is present on the right side, that will totally neglect, they will be focusing only on the left side. So if you offer something, they are unaware of the right side of the world. So in those patients, our challenge is to make them aware, make them feel about the other part, they should not neglect the other half along with the other treatment what we are giving them. Another is anosogonosia, that is denial of illness. They don't know the level of severity of problem they are suffering from. Somatogonosia, that is lack of awareness of body structure. Then spatial relation impairments. They cannot discriminate between the figure or objects kept on the ground. They don't know what is the object kept and where is the ground. Their discrimination, their in-depth height or depth difference discrimination becomes very difficult. So in the environment it is difficult for them to rehabilitate or take them outside for the exercises. Agnosia, that is failure to recognize the objects. Even if you give them some objects in the hand, they will not be able to palpate, feel and tell you about the object. Apraxia, they have difficulty in doing the skilled actions. Now there are several tools to assess the perceptual disorders. One such example is the star cancellation test. The example which I was giving for unilateral neglect, if a patient who has a unilateral neglect, you ask them to give them a chart which has a lot of stars and you ask them to cancel the stars which is on the right side. If they have a right neglect, they will not be able to do that. They will only cancelling the stars present on the left side. So with that we can find out the level of neglect they have. Now after cognition, next comes the cranial nerve. Cranial nerve, as I told before, these are the nerves which are coming out from the brain stem and from the cranium, and their assessment, neurological assessment is very vital. The nerves present are olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory and hypoglossal. Now these nerves, some are exclusively sensory, some are exclusively motor and some are both. So that is how it is written. S is for sensory, M is for motor and B stands for both. Online if you see and if you check, they will have so many mnemonics, you can make your own one and to memorize these cranial nerves. In the upcoming video, I will be showing in detail how to examine the cranial nerves. Stay tuned for that. Thank you.